Hey guys, I'm Alana from Win Win,
And I'm Jess from Win Win.
and it is the 12th of April 2023. Welcome to this episode of Insights from Mining Recruiters, where, as usual, we're going to be answering your questions. So, Jess, we've been getting a ton of really awesome questions coming through from our candidates and you. And just keep in mind as well, if you want to ask a question, people, hit it in the comment section below. We'd love to get your feedback. So the very first question, Jess, that we've had coming in quite a bit is, how do I get a FIFO job from Melbourne? Do you want to take this one?
Is this a trick question, Alana? Because I'm pretty sure the answer is you do not get a job, FIFO from Melbourne.
What? And why is that?
There's not mining, nothing in Victoria. It's all in New South Wales and Queensland, and there's nothing flying out of Melbourne. It doesn't make sense. The flights are too expensive and you just need to move.
Yes. Basically, in a nutshell, it is a big, giant no deal. There are a couple of places in Victoria, up north, Ballarat, Bendigo, where you might actually be able to potentially get a mining job if you live there. But two of the worst places to get a mining job if you are living in these places are Melbourne and Canberra. That is a big, giant no deal. So if you are moving, if you are trying or on these Facebook forums asking, how do I get a job? I'm in Melbourne, ain't gonna happen. You need to move, full stop, go where the jobs are because of that thing called point of hire. Hey, Jess, what's that one again?
This is a question we get asked about a lot. I'm living in Sydney and I've applied for all these jobs in Maitland and everywhere in New South Wales, and I just can't get a job, but they're in New South Wales. Why aren't I getting them, Alana? Why aren't I getting the jobs? I live in Sydney.
Oh my God, maybe because on the ad, it actually says you need to be residing within 80 kilometers of Singleton or Muswellbrook or wherever it is. So that's definitely why you're not getting you're getting the big giant no deal. So if that is you and you're still wanting to apply for these entry-level roles, especially with WorkPack and Programmed, if you're around the Singleton area or Muswellbrook or Tamworth areas, it is so easy to walk into one of those jobs. But you need to be living there because of the point of hire. So yeah, and as you'll see, those jobs are advertised year round. Why? Because they can't get enough people to move to those little towns. So that might be potentially a reason why you want to move there, just for the job, get some experience, and then potentially move back later. So that is that. Right. Anything else to add on that one, Jess?
No, just read the job ads. Read the job ads. If they say residential, don't have an address in Sydney or in another state and apply for those jobs in like Singleton. You're just going to get knocked back, and then you're just going to look silly. So just no.
Yeah, and it can be disheartening, you're wasting your own time, you're throwing out resumes and you're like, well, why aren't I getting anywhere? And that's why. So yeah, save your own time and either move or move. Anyway, all right, cool. The next one. Let's have a chat about this one, Jess. Both you and I have done fly in, fly out, and we've had our partners at home, and then we've both worked at home and had partners do fly in, fly out. So we keep getting this question, and I just want to talk about as well, what do you need to consider before you and or your partner enters into a relationship and then one of you goes and does FIFO? What do you think, Jess, from your experience?
I think it really comes down to good communication before either of you goes FIFO, especially if neither of you have done it before and you have no idea about what it's going to be like having someone, your partner away or being away for all that time. And it's talking about what your expectations are from that other person. How often are you going to call me? How often are you going to FaceTime? And the person at home, like, am I going to do XYZ activities without you, or am I waiting until you get home? It's communicating all of those expectations before they leave and having that all really clear so that someone's not getting hurt, whether it's the person that's away or the person that's at home is not getting disappointed or upset that the other person's maybe not giving them what they need while they're away from each other.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It needs to be like a really good communication so that you're both on the same page and like constantly having that, even if it's like a 5-minute phone call, like, hey, how you going? How's your day? Yeah, good. All right, see you later. Like, have a good one. Or how are the kids? Or how's the dog going? I worked away for 6 years on a 4-on-1 roster. By the end of that 4th week, I was just like, you know what? I do not have anything else to talk about. Yet
No.
my fiance was like, oh, let's have a 1 hour phone convo. And I was like, seriously, I did the same thing yesterday and I'm going to do the same thing today and tomorrow and the next day and for the next 28 days. So basically you get to that stage, and being on both sides of it, you need to like take, if you're at home and you're dealing with the like, you know, day-to-day life, you need to take into consideration that, you know what, they might not just be calling you because they've got nothing to talk about. Like, you know, it's hot out there, it's 12-hour days, and like, you know, what did you do? The same shit I did yesterday. So let's not talk about it, you know?
And I had the thing, but the opposite was my husband was away and he was the one that wanted to call 24 hours. He wanted to talk and text and message and chat all the time. And I had nothing new to say. Oh yeah, like I dropped the kids at school. I went to work, I've been to the gym, I'm eating dinner. Like, yeah, exciting happening. It's really boring. Like, you know, I miss you too. But yeah, you have to really talk about, because like we said, one person could want 2 calls a day, the other person might want to call once a week. So you really need to communicate about that before you're away from each other.
Yeah, I was definitely the can we do once a week? Like on both sides. Just kidding. But I mean, obviously that's a bad idea, a bad way to go.
Yeah.
You know, like you've got to make that effort. But one thing about being prepared as well is you need to know what, like how much, you know, like communication that you need coming from that side of you being at home, and also if you're out doing FIFO. And like, you know, things can happen as well. Like, you know, communication out there, like, you know, sometimes you go to sites where the Wi-Fi drops out, or, you know, Telstra is like really bad at that time, or there's a cyclone or whatever. So you've got to take that into consideration, like as well. So yeah, anything else to add on that one, Jess?
I think it kind of feeds back into the same thing. Like, is the person at home going out and doing things while the person's away? And is the person away going to the wedding and drinking and having fun while they're at work? It's all those types of things that you really need to talk about and try and come to some compromise so everybody's happy and you're not just both living a sad, boring life where you don't socialize with anyone until you're together.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, like that's where as the communication comes in, because, you know, like for me, when I was out there, I had a lot of male mates on Barrow Island, especially. So I'd be going and hang out with them, and my other half like, oh, how come you're hanging out with him or like those guys? And it's like, well, they're my crew, duh.
Yeah.
But like that's where as well, if you're on the other side of it, your mind can run wild where, you know, and then next minute you're on some bloody Facebook page or group saying, oh, my husband's doing this, blah, 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 I'm suspecting him of doing that, before actually getting any actual proof about that. So that's another thing I wanted to lead into as well when it comes to that. The FIFO world is very, 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 very small. So if you're at home and you're having issues with your partner who's on site, like that's where the communication is so important. Instead of jumping to conclusions and then jumping onto a Facebook group and saying, oh, hey, like let's air our dirty laundry, my husband's doing this.
Well, let's screenshot posts of the girl's Facebook profile or LinkedIn profile and like ask people about her. Like, please don't do that stuff, because you're going to potentially ruin his career.
Yeah.
And like embarrassing. It's very embarrassing.
Definitely. And you know what? The FIFO world is very small. These Facebook groups are very small. Like, believe it or not, there might be, you know, 40,000 people in it or whatever. So that's probably more likely that there's going to be somebody who knows you. So if you are posting smack about your husband, or I think he's cheating, or I think this is going on, or whatever, make sure that you don't actually have your face and name on the post. You can do private posts if you really
post it.
Yeah, definitely. But even that as well, like, I mean, yeah, sure, it's okay to get like reassurance potentially, or see other people's, have you been in this situation? But at the end of the day, that's a conversation that you need to be having with your other half. And that comes down to trust. So trust is a massive thing on the minds. Like, you know, you're away for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it might be. So I think that's extremely important. What do you think, Jess?
I think also in those groups, there's a lot of women and partners that are quite bitter and have been cheated on and have had a lot of bad things happen to them. And as much as they like to say this happens all the time and everyone has work wives and everyone does this, it really isn't as prolific as they make it out to be in this horrible world of FIFO that everyone's just sleeping with everyone. It's really not like that. And again, if your husband or your wife or your partner is going up north and sleeping with anyone that moves, they probably did it in Perth as well. So
Yeah,
it's probably not
exactly.
you. Like it's a thing. That's a relationship issue, and I think it should be kept private. And if you do feel the need to post because you don't have any support, keep it all anonymous and don't post anyone's names or sites or anything like that, because yeah, it can really ruin someone's like career. And even if you break up with them because they are cheating, you still want them working to pay you child support.
Exactly, right? So yeah, I didn't even think about that one. Makes sense. So yeah, 100%. And I just want to reiterate as well, right? If you are having those issues, both sides, like every single company has an employee assistance program, and that is not just for the employee, but that is for their family or their direct loved ones as well. So if you're having potential relationship issues and your other half is on site, why not even just say to them, hey, does your company have an EAP? Like, can I get access to it? Because you can. And hey, free counselling. Who doesn't need that in this day and age? Jesus.
Definitely. And there are a lot of other organizations. There's like Relationships Australia. If you Google it, there are lots of places that are like subsidized or cheaper. Even, you know, even if you are making, you may have a bit more of a wait list than an EAP program, but definitely reach out. I think you can even reach out as a partner to the employer and find out details about that if you know, if you want to talk to something before you talk to your partner, which it all comes down to good communication and reaching out for help if you need it. Appropriate help, not Facebook group help.
Yeah, exactly. Every person on Facebook's got like a million opinions, and a lot of them are coming from like potentially their bad experience that they might have had. So instead of going over to that avenue, go and actually approach a professional. And even if you do say to your other half, hey, does your company have an EAP program? Can I get access? That in itself potentially might be enough to open that communication, so they say, hey, is everything okay? Like, what's going on? So yeah, that's what I would say with that one. Jess? Yeah, cool. All right. Let's get on to the next one, which is being overqualified an actual thing, and can it hinder your chances of getting jobs?
Definitely. If you're a operations manager or an executive of some level and you're applying for utility roles or trade assistant roles, I think you really have to have a good think about your resume and how you're wording it and how you're setting it up, because if people, you know, if recruiters see a utility resume and you're an operations manager, they're going to be like, no, this is ridiculous. So if you need any help with that, info@winwin.com.au, we can definitely do an analysis of your resume. If you're trying to get into a low-level job as an entry level, we can definitely help, but I'm sure you've got way more to add to that.
100%. From an employer's point of view, right? If you got somebody and they were an operations manager and then they're going for a truck driving role, the first thing that you think is, one, why is this person taking such a massive step back in life, you know? And I totally get that, you know. Our job is we're extremely mental in every way possible that could be, you know, interpreted. And it's good to have a step back into a job where you don't have to potentially use your brain. That can be a nice little holiday for you. But from an employer's point of view, they're thinking, is this person going to rock the boat? Are they going to come in there trying to get a supervisor role? Are they like, you know, like, why the hell does this person want to go drive a truck when they were managing like 50 staff? So being overqualified is definitely a thing. So the way you you know, deliver or, you know, set yourself up on your resume, etc., and the jobs that you're applying for, your success rate is going to be based upon that as well. So, you know, we've had people come to us, and we're working with a candidate right now who's trying to get a job as a utility, where he's basically CEO, and it's like, you know, like, why do you want to go that step backwards in life, like money wise and all that sort of stuff? But and I can get it, but the way that you then deliver yourself on paper, aka your resume, needs to be so specific to actually get it through the applicant tracking system. So yeah, first impressions are everything, and being overqualified is definitely a thing. So if you, like Jess said, yes.
Yeah. Definitely need to think about too, and maybe get some tips about how to conduct yourself during the interview and the reasons that you're giving on why you're making this step into a different area as well. It's another thing you need to think about.
Yeah, 100%. And that leads us into the final, I guess, topic that we're going to be talking about, which is how to utilize a two-step plan to get what you want. Now, if you've seen any or the video that I did within this YouTube channel right here, go and check it out, because this is exactly what I did with my own twin sister, right? She hadn't been working in the mining industry since she was like in her 19 or something like that. Went off, had her kids, and then came to me and said, hey, I want to get a job in the mining industry, but I don't want a utility role. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but totally get it, right? So what we did is we set her up to use a two-step plan to actually get her where she wanted to go, which incorporated, helping her to get making sure that she had the qualifications, and then going and hustling her into a job down in town in a civil role. So she did that for like 6 months, whatever. And then after that, when she'd actually got the experience, bang, she went straight into a $128,000 FIFO job. Now, like, you might think 6 months to like potentially be doing a job that you might not be loving, but you're getting that experience. It can be the perfect way to get in. And, a lot of people go, oh, I want an experience. I'm applying for experience jobs. I just got on my tickets and I'm getting knocked back. Well, of course you are, right? And you're going to have to go for an entry level job. You can't, and that I'm sure Jess, you'll agree, having the tickets means sweet F all,
Does that's not experience. You're not experienced. You've operated something very briefly, probably for half a day or a day, and got a ticket. And there's so many places doing tickets now that it's not a rare thing for people to have a dozer ticket or a grader ticket or an excavator ticket and have no experience. You need that experience, and civil is 100% the easiest way to get it in Perth.
Definitely, especially like in town, there are so many projects going on, roadworks, you see it everywhere. So you might want to consider that as an option if you do want to eventually set yourself up with that experience. And that is the key word there, experience, so that you have the buying power and you've got it on your resume clearly stated that you've got that experience to then go and jump into a role like in the mining industry. And like some people go, oh yeah, but then you got to spend like 6 months to a year doing this. Let's look at it from this perspective, right? We've had people come to us who are in like 50 grand, like per year jobs. And they're like, I want to go off to the mines, blah, 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 but I don't want to go off and do this job. Well, every single year that they were not in that job, they were actually losing, tens of thousands of dollars. So why not, if it costs 6 months for you to set yourself up, get a few tickets, and then be able to jump straight into a $120,000 FIFO job, is that worth it? Got to ask yourself that.
And I think too, like if you are just working in a $45,000 or $50,000 a year role in Perth in an office, or cleaning or whatever you're doing, working at Macca's or whatever, going into a civil role, you're going to be making a lot more than that. I can tell you now, especially if you do some night shifts. Like there's so much opportunity to learn and to do some of those tickets as well and get some of that machinery experience, and probably you'll make better money than what you're making at the moment.
Definitely. And that, like what we always talk about as well, the same goes for utility roles. We've had so many people who are like, no, I'm not going into a utility role. Utility roles, most of them are paying about 75 grand a year. So if you're umming and ahhing and you're in town and you're like, well, I'm not going up there to clean toilets, no freaking way. Let's put it in perspective here. You're going to get, if you did do that, 25 grand extra if you're earning, let's say 50K per year currently, and every 2 weeks you're going to get a whole week off, probably paid, where you get a holiday. Like, hello, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, we love a utility role. We love an entry-level utility role, and we have people like, you're probably thinking, oh, I don't want to do that for 6 to 12 months. We have people literally go and do 1 or 2 swings as a utility and then jump into operations or jump into admin. It's that easy. If you listen to what we say and network right and get in there and work hard, it doesn't have to be a 6 to 12 months of your time. You can literally do it so quickly if you do it right.
Yeah, I've seen 2 days. A guy went up there, warehousing role in town. We helped him to get a utility role in the mines. 2 days later, he was poached to come over to the operations side. It was incredible. And then basically he was like, what should I do? I was like, what's the money like? Ridiculously more than the utility role. Okay, great, go for it. I mean, it's up to you, really. And yeah, so that's really it. Anything else, Jess, any other burning questions?
The other thing that I have seen that you may not be able to answer this question better than me is people banging on about how dirty their rooms are on site. And the burning question that I've had in my inbox yesterday was, who is responsible for the maintenance of the rooms, not the cleanliness of the rooms, but the maintenance of the rooms? Is it the client or is it the company that's like the utilities company?
Well, that depends who's got that particular contract. So I know when I was at Barrow, I probably shouldn't drop names, but there was a company that was in charge of the maintenance of the room. So even cleaning the aircon filters, that got taken over to them because apparently it's hard for, or it was out of the contract for the cleaners to take down the filters and like run them through the shower. So it really depends. And that's actually funny. I've been talking to a camp manager friend of mine because the site where my other half is, he was like, what the hell, check this out. And the laundry was an absolute disaster. I got onto my mate and I was like, hey, are you guys aware of this? And then he just basically said, yeah, but it's actually the client who's looking after that. So cleanliness of the room is usually obviously the catering company, and then the maintenance of the room is potentially the client or an outside contractor, or sometimes even the catering company. So it just depends.
And I think some of the rooms are old, like they are just old. They're not dirty, they're not gross, they're just old. Like you're not going to stay in a hotel, but I think if there's mold or there's fittings that are broken or things, put in a maintenance request or actually go over to see the admin team and put in a maintenance request and get that sorted, because they probably will move your rooms.
Yeah, absolutely. Every single time. Don't go on Facebook whinging about it. Like that is not going to do absolutely anything. And actually, that brings me to another subject of the food. Jess, you're a chef. Let's talk about this one, because there's a big giant misconception going around that, oh, it's the utilities' fault why the food is shit, or it's the chef's fault. And sometimes it does come down to professional pride. But do you want to explain, Jess, the whole behind the scenes with the food cost, manning, all that sort of stuff?
So I saw a lot of this over the Easter weekend, actually, in a lot of the groups that we're in, and saying, oh, our company didn't even put, you know, the ESS or Sodexo or whoever it was, Morris Court, didn't even put shit on for Easter. Like, how disgusting, blah, blah, blah. It's actually not, it's not them, it's the client. The client are the ones that give them their budget. And some sites you'll go to, the food will be amazing because they've got a decent budget. But other places, they have, it's really small. Like some places it can be down to like $1.50 or $2 a person. So if you're working with that much, like you can only work with what you've got. Like we order what, like obviously you order what you can. Smaller camps are generally a little bit better. You usually have a little bit more leeway and they're usually making a bit more money. So they, you know, like I know Gold, a lot of the gold companies, Dundee Gold was the best site I ever worked on. Like the food was amazing. The budget was massive because the client was awesome. And they ate there all the time. So they wanted the food to be good. They wanted to look after their staff. But it's not down to the company that's cooking your food. And I know some of the food, and it probably is chefs that are cooking horrible stuff, but it does come down to the produce you've got. If a truck doesn't turn up, or if they just send you whatever, because once it's there, you can't do anything about it. You can't send it back and get something fresh. You just have to work with what you've got. So I think most, like 90% of the chefs that are on site probably try their hardest and put a lot of like effort and time and love into the food they're cooking, but they're only working with what they got. So if you've got complaints about the food, don't bang onto the girls in the dining room and the chefs that are in the mess. Go and make a complaint to the management or to the company you're working for on site, and actually complain to them about the food and the standard of the food, because that's the only way you're going to get anything changed.
Yeah. 1,000,000%. And just to add on to that as well, like what it comes down to is if you're working on a site, let's say you're on I won't even drop one of the, you know, a big mining company site, and there is a different contractor who is serving your food, how it usually works is like this, right? So that client, the main mining company, will put out a tender. That tender, a whole lot of companies will come in and say, we'll do it for $15 a head. We'll do it for $10 a head. We'll do it for this amount. At the end of the day, the person who says yay or nay is the company. So if the food is crap, it's because the company has said, all right, sorry, well, you come in on the how low can you go game, and we're going to save a ton of money by having you on. So unfortunately, whether the food is good or not, that's what our workforce is going to have to deal with. So unless you're at a site like MRL sites where the food is always absolutely freaking on point. I've never actually been to one, but I've seen it. And I know so many people who work on MRL sites, and that is just incredible. And that's because their budget is bigger, and also the chefs and all that also all work for the same company. So that absolutely creates that camaraderie where they want to make sure that they're serving up good food. So yeah. So the moral of the story is don't bitch on Facebook groups and try to get to an MRL site.
Yes, definitely.
That's it. Chris Ellison, if you're watching, hit us up. We can help do your recruitment for you to get good stuff. Definitely. All right. I think we've exhausted all topics this week. Hey, Jess? Amazing. Okay. Well, firstly, thank you for sending in all those questions, everyone at home. The really great questions this week, I think. And if you've got any, drop it in the comment section below. Or if you need help getting your first or next mining job, or, resumes, LinkedIn profiles, like how to interview, like interview preparation sessions, recruitment, anything, get in contact with us, info@winwin.com.au. Anything to add?
If you need help in knowing what a point of hire is, please also send an email.
The point of hire. Oh my God. I can't talk about that anymore. No. All right. Jess, if you've got any point of hire questions, direct those to Jess. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day. And that's it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jess. Bye.
Yeah.